Hi, my name is Ace, and welcome to Untethered, place where I post guided meditations, messages, etc. So, I haven't been channeling for a couple of days because there wasn't anything specific that was meant for this collective. And that isn't to say that this collective isn't important, but rather to express how independent you are in a way. It feels like whenever I try to even find my collective and channel messages for like a specific group of people, it's hard because the collective that's meant for me is like so. I want to use the word overly independent, and I don't think that in a bad way, but rather in like a really, you know, powerful way. However, this has two sides to it. Side number one is you being like independent, which I feel like, especially in today's world, is really. I just had a block in my head because I couldn't think about the right word to use. But overall, it's just this energy of like power, and it's like really grounding and like wise and magnetic. It's a good thing, essentially. However, the second part of it could be related to you keeping things to yourself to the point where it starts eating you from the inside out. Like, you are definitely the type of person who would rather keep things to themselves than share their problems. So that could be another sign that this message is for you. And I would actually like to talk to you about that thing, and like I want you to actually like think about this concept of like sharing your problems with the world or just someone else, like your friend or a family member. So this is more of like my own subjective opinion, but I feel like, again, like this is my collective, so you most definitely resonate with this. I feel like in today's world, a lot of people tend to like trauma dump in a way, and like when they have a problem, they immediately run to someone and they just talk about their problems blindly. And what I mean by this is that sometimes when you're going through something, I don't want to use the, idea that it happens for a reason, but at the end of the day, it really does. So essentially, it's about like, learning the lesson, understanding that something happened for you and not to you. However, a lot of people fail to realize this, and it's like they refuse to sit with themselves and receive the answer and like learn the lesson and essentially break the pattern. Instead, they just like complain in a way and like victimize themselves in a way by like just running to someone else and oversharing. Not oversharing, actually. I feel like that's a wrong word to use, but rather just talk about the whole situation as like a problem, like from that point of view. Like they're refusing to see the bigger picture, but rather like blame the person who hurt them or blame life for like giving them that thing that hurt them. So you are someone who like, let's say, passed that test a long time ago. Like you're very aware that by just like trauma dumping and sharing, you aren't necessarily going to fix much. But for you, it's rather about like you sitting with your problems and like accepting certain things and like learning from them. However, sometimes that can result in you keeping a bit too much to yourself. You don't need to face all of your problems on your own. Sometimes it's okay to share something that's weighting you down with someone you trust. And what the spirit is saying here is that just because you tell someone your problems doesn't mean that you immediately have to receive the answer. Sometimes it can be just about like letting that thing out of you. Think about it this way. It's a lot of pent up energy that's looking for a way to leave your energy field. And like, I'm not saying that you should, transfer that pent up energy and anxiety to someone else, but it's rather about that energy just like leaving your energy field and your body. So the message is you can talk to someone you trust about your problems and things that are weighing you down. And you are not immature if you do so. Just because you tell someone your problems, that doesn't mean that you are looking from an answer and like expecting them to like solve your problems, or that you are victimizing yourself or like blaming the universe or life for like making you go through that thing, but it's rather about like freeing yourself from overthinking and overall that energy that's inside of you, but it's looking for a way out. So essentially, it's about like balance again, which I have to admit, I for a really long time hated the idea of balancing because everyone is talking about balance, when it comes to food, when it comes to like boundaries and friendships, when it comes to love, everyone talks about balance. But at the end of the day, I feel like you always kind of have to like lean more towards one side than the other. Because like I don't believe there's such a thing as like a perfect balance, and I feel like it's hard to make a perfect balance. So that might resonate with you as well, but the spirit here is saying balance definitely does exist and it is possible for you, and I feel like it is an answer to most things for you, especially to this thing that I have mentioned. So essentially it's okay to keep things to yourself and like solve things on your own and like be patient and like surrender, but it's also okay to like share your voice with someone you can trust. It's not gonna harm you, neither is it gonna harm that person. And the most important thing here is you are not one of those people who's just gonna like use someone to like trauma dump and like, be an energy vampire. So don't be afraid of that. You know that your intentions aren't ill or harmful, so you don't have to worry. And I feel like this could be another message. It feels like sometimes you let things outside of you control you. It's similar to like you reaching out to your friend from a place of genuine care and love, and then worrying and be like, oh, what if they think that I'm doing this because I only need something? But it's like, you know that your intentions are pure. So like, why are you worrying? Stop letting things outside of you dictate who you are. You know who you are, and you should stand firm in your ground. So the next part of this message is something really interesting. And I want to start off by saying that I'm like really proud of you because this is like really, really secret energy. And not a lot of people can do this. So this next part is about manifesting. To be more specific, it's about how you manifest so effortlessly. like obviously you can manifest bad things, but in this case it's about good things. You manifest good things happening to you effortlessly without even realizing. Like when you do it intentionally, it definitely is powerful, but sometimes the universe is working in your favor to the point where when you're doing something that isn't necessarily good for you, even in those moments you somehow end up manifesting good things happening to you. So let me explain. Let's use this case scenario because it might also resonate with you, but it could also be just a like random example for me to use. But essentially you will understand the message. So let's say that you are spending a lot of time on dating apps. And you definitely aren't proud of this. You kind of use this as like a coping mechanism in a way. It's similar to like doom scrolling. Like you're using this to like numb your emotions in a way. Maybe not necessarily numb your emotions, but like when you need a break from everything, this is when you do this thing. Like you aren't on dating apps because you are looking for love. It feels like you're aware that this isn't necessarily for you and you won't find real love on this dating app. It's more of like a, again, coping mechanism, and you're doing this out of like curiosity and just because you want some fun. So on this dating app, someone asks you, where are you from? And instead of actually telling them where you are from, you decide to lie a bit because you don't feel comfortable sharing your personal information. And again, you are just doing this for some fun and out of curiosity. You're not actually interested. So you say a city that you love, but you definitely don't live there yet. And whenever someone asks you, like, where are you from? You say this city instead your own city. So it's like, oh, where do you live? And then you say this, let's call it fake city. This essentially seems like a bad thing, right? Because number one, you are on a dating app that you hate, and even you aren't so sure why you're doing this. It's kind of like out of a habit. And thing number two is you are lying. So on the paper, it looks like this is a bad thing. But by saying that fake city name, it's almost like you are manifesting moving there. And like essentially you will. So you see what I'm trying to say here? It's like you are doing something that's considered to be a bad thing. You're also lying. However, you are manifesting and moving to your dream city or a dream country even. So this I feel like is happening because number one, again mentioning ill intentions that we mentioned earlier. You don't have ill intentions. And that's your core thing. That's your truth. You are not someone who has ill intentions. So even by like lying, you aren't doing it because you want to harm someone, but rather because you're just trying to like protect yourself. And that can be sensed and noticed. And that's why spirits are like rewarding you in a way. It also could be that you did something not so long ago, like maybe like a year ago or a couple of months ago, that was almost like a setup for your success. Something that has made your success be inevitable. It's also like planting a seed that you know is for sure going to grow and turn into a beautiful plant. It might take a while, but it's definitely going to happen. And the only thing you need to do is nurture it and like water it from time to time and like change the soil maybe or the lighting. But essentially, the main work has been done already. So you don't have to worry anymore. So essentially, the message is it's almost like your success is inevitable. Yeah, sure, there will be setbacks in life from time to time. However, none of that is going to like stop you from achieving what it is that you want to achieve. So really, you are safe. This isn't to say that you should like do nothing anymore and like never try again and not work towards your goals. But it's rather a confirmation that you are on the right path and you definitely are supported by angels, spirit guides, universe, or just like life in general. However, let's not forget about the first part of this message, which was all about you allowing people to come closer to you and you going closer to them. Like, allow yourself to go up to people. Because not everyone has ill intentions. There are people who just genuinely want to be close to you and they appreciate you. And another specific thing that could be significant for this part of the message, well, the first part of this reading, has to do something with car problems. So let's, for example, say that while you are driving, you hear some squealing and grinding noises, and you have no idea what the problem is, and you don't know much about cars, so it's like causing you a lot of stress. And instead of overthinking and overanalyzing and trying to find the root problem and kind of like guessing it, you decide to mention this problem to one of your friends. And all of a sudden, your friend is like, oh, I literally just had that problem like 2 days ago. And I got it checked, and it turns out that my car was making squealing noises because my disc brakes were worn off. So disc brakes, again, could be significant, doesn't have to be significant. But the point is, you told your friend about your problem, not out of this like place of, victimization and like complaining, but rather out of like curiosity and like, like, oh, like what's going on with my car? All of a sudden, they solved half of your problem. Like they discovered what the problem is. Plus, they can like tell you what to do or like give you a number of the repair shop you should go to. So not only that you two kind of like connected to each other by having like the same problem, you also just received an answer. And I just realized that I feel like this is how these two parts of the whole message connect to each other. You see, it's like, don't be afraid to reach out to someone. Like, you don't have ill intentions, and that's very clear. But also, you kind of like manifest good things even when that's not your intention. And even in those like, let's say, hard moments, you somehow receive the guidance and an answer. And you essentially manifest things that are meant for you and just, good for you. That's all I have for today. I hope that you found this message helpful, and I hope that the right collective will find this message. Thank you for listening, and I will see you in the next reading. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye.